And here we are talking about the artificial intelligence, and probably the AI is the broadest term, uh, meaning the all of this. And then inside the artificial intelligence, there is an area for the machine learning. And actually, the machine learning can be understood in very different ways. So for the statistical point of view, the statistical machine learning is some other area, but we are mainly focused on the neural network in machine learning area and usually the deep learning techniques. And actually, you don't have to know all the terminologies at this moment, because we are going to use all these terminologies as we move on. And usually the machine learning is divided into two different categories. The one is the supervised learning, and the other one is the unsupervised learning. So the difference between these two is that it says that supervised learning, you know what you want to teach the computer, while the unsupervised learning is about letting the computer figure out what can be learned. So actually that means the supervised learning, in the supervised learning, you know the answer. So for example, somebody gives you a letter, handwritten digit, and you already know that that is a number 2 or number 3. And then you are going to use those data set to teach the computer how to identify these numbers. But for the unsupervised learning technique, it's something like the recommendation system. So you already see lots of recommendation systems. So if you buy a certain book, and the Amazon usually use the unsupervised learning technique to recommend another related book, but that recommendation is not always correct. So you don't know the answer, but we can just say that, oh, this is something, that book might be interested to the buyer of this book. So there is no specific answers. And that kind of problem is classified as unsupervised learning. This is the first example using the Colab. And if I press the play button, and it shows you how to do all that kind of things, but there is a link here. So if I press this link, and it goes to the Collab directory. And this Collab is provided by the lessons. So in order to execute this one, you need to connect this notebook environment to the Google server. So I'm gonna connect. Okay, it is connected. And you are already familiar with the environment. So this is just text. And then this is the code we can execute. So pressing Shift and Enter. Okay, this code, and there are some warning, but I run anyway. And then this is just the hello world statement. It's a print hello world, and it is written in Python. And then they said they are going to show you a very the basic of the Python. So here is the code. So even though we did not learn the functions, but this is the good time to learn about the function. So here the DEF keywords means, okay, I'm going to define something as this one. So def is the keyword, and the function name is actually hello world XY. That is just the function name. And so if you think about a function, the function always takes the input, and it might be several inputs, and then it produces output. That's just a function. So this is the way we define a function in Python. So you use the keyword def, and then use the function name, and you can choose your own function name, and then at the end of the function define statement, you should write the colon. So that means the whole section here is a function. And then you can see the indentation here. So there are two spaces, but usually it is recommended by 4 spaces, but 2 is okay. And you have to align all these things at the same indentation level. So what does this function do? Is just take the 2 input, and then finally it returns the value. So that's the basic structure of the function. The def is the keyword, and you write the name of the function, and then you write the input of the function, and then at the very at the end of the function definition, you need to return something. So the returning thing is actually x plus y. So it is just here, you take 2 numbers and then it returns x plus y. But during that, inside that function, it performs some logical comparisons. So first, if x is less than 10, then print the following statement. Else if, the elif means it's else if. So the first if does not satisfy, then you can go into the else if statement. And then it says x is less than 20. Okay, then print the following statement. And if it is not satisfied, then you go to the else statement and then print the following statement. That's what this hello world xi function actually does. Yeah. So this is the definition. And then you can use your function in the for loop. So here is a for loop. So for loop is if you want to do something iteratively several times, then you can use this for loop. So for I in range 8, 25, 5. So the range function makes a range of numbers, and it starts from, so the first number is the starting number, the second number is the end number, but it is not included, and the third number indicates that it's a step size. So you start from the 8, and then plus 5 will be 13, and then plus 5 will be 18, and then plus 5 is 23. So it says start, stop, and step. So when I is equal to 8, it prints the following statement. So now running with I, and then the I will be, the 8 will be written here. And then it calls the hello world xy function with the input value of I and I. So that means the x will be 8, and then y will be 8. And then after doing all of these things, it returns the x plus y. And then that return is saved in R here. And then the print statement, the result from the hello world is this number. So let me execute it. And this is the result of this cell. So the first line with 3 dashes comes from here. And remember that this is inside the for loop, and the for loop starts from 8, and then 13, and 18, and 23. So this first print statement will be printed 4 times. And as you can see, the 3 dashes here, and another 3 dashes, another 3 dashes, and another 3 dashes. And then number is 8, 13, 15, 18, and 23. So that comes from the first print statement. And then the hello world function with 8 and 8 we'll go to the hello world function, and then depending on the value of the x, so whether it when it is less than 10, then this print statement will be printed out. So this is the result, the second line, hello world, y was less than 10. And then since this statement is satisfied, if condition is satisfied, it goes, skip all the other else statement and then returns the x plus y. But x was 8 and y was also 8, so return is 16. And that 16 is saved here in R. And then the next print statement is result from the hello world is 16. So that is the first iteration of the for loop. And then for the next iteration, the I will be the 13, and then do the same thing again and again. So that's the explanation for the second cell. And then we can also call the newly defined function by just using this name. And then we can print this one. So it's hello world x was less than 10. Where is hello world? Oh, okay. That was a hello world x was less than 10. And then the answer is 3, because the first output is actually the output from inside the function. So inside the function, there was a print statement, and then it returns the value, which is the sum of 1 and 2. And that return value is evaluated here, and then 3 is printed here. And they said easy, right? Okay, it's easy. And then if you want to loop starting at 0 to 2 exclusive, or we could do any of the following. So there are three, they showed 3 different ways to print 0 to 0, 1, 0, 1. Yeah. So one way is to use the range. So if you use just one number with the range function, that one number is gonna be the end number, not the start number. So if the start is omitted, then starting number is always 0. And another way is that using the for loop is you can explicitly use the list, so 1 and 0, or you can use the while statement. So while statement is that as long as the condition is true, it goes on and on forever. So when we execute them, so it says the first print statement iterate over the item range 2 is like a list 0 and 1 and 1, 2. And then second one is from the first statements with the list, but the outcome is actually the same. And then the last pieces comes from the while statement. So you first initialize the variable I, and then while I is less than 2, do the following, and then you print the number, print the variable, and then you increase. So actually this one is equivalent to this one. It looks a little bit scary, but actually it means this one. So I is equal to I plus 1. And the shorthand notation to write this statement is I plus equal 1. And actually, you don't have to worry about this one because it's equivalent to this one. So if you cannot understand this one, then you can just write in this way, and that's fine. And then this one is it's um, sometimes the problem with the while statement is that if your condition is not specified correctly, then it might goes forever. Then the only thing you can stop it is just to uh, close your windows and then uh, going back to that point. So the while statement, when you use the while statement, you should be very careful. So I'm not gonna run this one. And then they are talking about the NumPy and list, but we know the most of things here, so I'm not going to do this one. But for the Colab specifics, I'm going to show you like this one. So we know that the Colab environment is basically for the Python, but sometimes we wanted to use the outside of the Colab environment. So which means, for example, you are on the Windows operating system, or you are on the Mac OS system, and you are running your Python program, but sometimes you want to go outside of your Python and then show wanting to see your files or something like that. And how can we do that in Colab? And you need to use the exclamation mark. And when we write this one, it is not a Python statement. It is the Unix command. And uh, and there are not so much. So for example, ls means it's a list. So I want to see the list of my files in a long format and execute it. Shows you there is a file name called the sample data, and that's it. And it shows you something more, and this is more related. This is related to the Unix version of the file system, and and it shows who is the owner of this file system, and it shows when it is created. So let's just see if you are using the window, the command is dir, and if you are using the Mac, the command is still the ls. But it's just a way to show you how to use the outside of the Colab environment. Okay, yeah, remember that you can always go to their Udacity website and then to rewatch the whole video. But I think it's a good idea to with me. So let's start the lesson. Oh, I have a question. I have a, yeah. Oh, the exclamation mark here. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna start a new collab. So I can create new collab using the new notebook under the file menu. And this is gonna be a new notebook. And then this notebook will be saved in my the Google Drive. And you can write the Python code. I need to connect it. So yeah, we all know that. How can we run the Python code? But sometimes you need to see, you need to go outside of your environment. So what that means is that when you go to the file, and actually we did it, we went this directory before, when we are trying to plot the COVID-19 data. So one way is to go here, and upload your files, and that's fine. But sometimes you just use your command to see what's outside of your environment. So, and in order to use the outside environment, which is actually Unix command, you need to start with the exclamation mark. So without it, yeah. In the older version of the Colab, it gives you an error. But the Colab has been changed so that they can understand the Unix command. But the older way is always start with the exclamation mark and then ls. Then it shows you the file or directory of your current folder. And then another way, another command, for example, is pwd. That means present working directory. Is /content. So why am I in the /content? Because when you see, so you know the meaning of the dot dot, that it goes one level up. So when I go one level up, all of these are actually, it's a Unix, it's in the Unix environment. And then what, where I am is in the content directory. And then inside the content directory, there is a sample data, and then inside the sample data, and there are some more things. So for example, currently, now I am in the content directory, but if I wanted to see some more content inside the sample data, and then okay, here is the file names. So you can see here there are 6 files, and there are 6 files. And this is the older way to write the program. So in these days, the most students use just the mouse to click and copy the file to relocate the file to another place. But this is the old style to see what's inside the file system and how to make a copy and that kind of things. So just just remember that this is something special, and we are not going to use it very frequently. But when I need to use this kind of command, I will let you know again.